Right, so we're going to look at the word SINITE. It's a name of a people group in the Bible, and it happens to be a Canaanite. So there are the Hivites, the Arkites, and the SINITEs. Now I want to show you what the SINITEs look like, so that if we understand what the SINITEs look like, we're eventually going to understand who the Hivites are, the Arkites. So when we take the word SINITE, it expresses an inhabitant of Sin near Arka. Now, Arka, when we look back here, it states the Hivites, the Arkites, so Arka, and the Sinites, so they were close to each other. Now, even this site tells you the scriptures, you can find those in Genesis 17 where they're mentioned, and then 1 Chronicles 1 and 15 is probably where the river's mentioned. So Shin, or Shina, you just take the A, and you have Shin, take off the H, and you have Sina, or Sina. And I'm going to close that out because the mute button for that is just not working. So it expresses that it's an archaic or archaic Japanese name for China. The word was originally used neutrally for both Chinese and Japanese. So when you look at the Bible, and in Genesis 10, it expresses the Shinite, or Sinite. That is for both Chinese and Japanese. So if we try to start naming who the modern people of the ancient names are, Chinese and Japanese would fit under the category of Sinite. Now, 1 Chronicles 1 and 15 expresses this. When we go down and put it back into context, these are the children of Chanaan. Now, if we go to the Septuagint, and we look in here, it's the sons of Cham. We can see Chus, Mizrain, Phud, and Chanaan. So we are told in the KJV that it's Cush, Mizrahim, put in Canaan. And in the Brenton, again, Chus for Cush, Mizrain for Mizrahim, Phud for foot, and Chanaan for Canaan. Now, you can see the difference there as we start, and their sons are start to name off. And when you go to the KJV, see Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Rama. Back to the Brenton, Saba stays the same. Evala instead of Havela. Sabatha instead of Sabta. So you can see these changes are made. The degree of what they mean to us at this point is we will start to see as we go. If we sit there and say Black Africa, that's because what we see today. But prior to our belief system imposed on us, send your black children to school or we'll put you in jail. Send your black children to our white supremacist schools or we'll send your parents to jail for neglect. So we see how we get this sculpted image of Black Africa when this Bible is saying that the people that call themselves Asian, that live in Asia, are actually out of Africa. So we go back, we continue, tells us a little bit about the Arkite, inhabitants of Arca, a designation of certain descendants from the Phoenician or Sidonians. Now, when we go to Genesis 10 and analyze Genesis 10, it's not telling us that about the Phoenicians and the Sidonians. When these people groups are brought up, the Chanaanites, where from Sidon till one comes from Gerar and Gaza, till one comes to Sodom and Gomorrah, and they're laying out lines here. You see, and Chanaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, the Chetite. So they have Chetite right there. Now, in KJV, you were taught when Sidon is born, excuse me, it's hard to find, and his firstborn is Heth, right? So we're in verse 15. Back here in the Brenton, firstborn is Chetite. So they got Heth out of that, right? Look at the difference, people. Now you can see here Girgashite, Girgashite versus Girgashite. All right, so you can see how this is going to go. You know, Sidon, some stay the same, but it looks like a lot of it doesn't. So let's go back to Genesis 6. Oh, excuse me. We're actually in 10 right now. Let's go back to this. Yes, this one. So we'll go to Shinnah. Now the word is, okay, a Japanese name for China. The word originally or anciently, original. So the root of this word is both Chinese and Japanese. Okay, so it used to be the Sino-Japanese War. It's perceived as a derogatory comment by the Chinese during the Sino-Japanese War. All right, so when we look at the word Shinnah, it straight up tells us it's China. Or with an S is Japanese term for China. Okay, so there's no way around this. There just isn't. Now, if you don't believe, then I'll just have to pour a little bit more on. And when we look up the word Shinto, it comes from, it's a Japanese religion. Now, negatively, they call Chinese people Shinna, but Shinto is a religion. It focused on ritual practices to be carried out diligently to establish a connection between between present-day Japan and its ancient past. Shinto practices were first recorded and codified in the written historical records of Kojiki and Nihonsho in the 8th century. Shinto, still the earliest Japanese writings do not refer to a unified Shinto religion, but to a collection of native beliefs and mythology. Now, when we scroll down, it's going to express that it deals with the word Shinto way of the gods was adopted originally to be Jindu. So when you take do off, you have jinn. Now we understand what jinn are. If we don't, you should type in the word J-I-N or D-J-I-N-N. Right? When you look at the movie Aladdin, the Disney movie, that's a jinn. So way of gods or Jindu or Shindu. Now, when it talks about the Canaanites, it tells you that the Canaanites were dealing with the fallen angel, right? From Genesis 6. Well, we'll figure it out from the written Chinese sendu, combining two, meaning spirit or kami, and two. What is kami? It means a philosophical path or study. Okay, so it means two. So when we type in, when we click on Tao, we get Tao, 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 or Tao, and signifying the way, the path, the route. This is what Bruce Lee always talks about. This is what the yin and the yang is, right? The balance of the two, right? When we go back, what does it mean? Combining two. We already know what combination comes from, right? Syncretism. So you can study this if you want, but then we type in the word. Hold on. Oh, wait, I had to make sure I was doing this right. Then we type in the word sem. Now I want to show you this. Now, these come alphabetically, but here's where we're looking for. Before vowels, sem. So that's the word we typed in. So this is the actual answer we're looking for. Word forming element, meaning half or part. Let's look at the Tao or Tao again. See the half or part? You get what's going on? So let's go back. Half, part, partial, imperfect, twice. From Latin, semi, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so down here, half dead, literally half alive. All right, so it still points us back to the Tao or Tao. So there we have SINITE.